So this week I finally beat Pokopia. I hit credits, and I didn't realize there was this little movie that played during the credits that basically shows us going off-world, like literally off-world, like not just out of Kanto and the playable area of Pokopia, but literally we follow a rocket ship blasting off of the planet, which is crazy because we've only seen that a couple times in the Pokemon world. And we'll talk about what basically happens. But I'd like to talk about this because, again, I haven't seen this anywhere online. I didn't even know this was, I didn't even know this was like a thing in the game. I want to talk about some of the implications. We have some text dialogue, again, within Pokopia. There's some implications here. I have a working theory about, what the next Pokemon Legends game could be. I think that might be fun to talk about as well in relation to this. And then I have a little bit of a theory as well. And obviously this all has to do with Team Rocket, which I don't think is I don't think that's a secret. I think there's tons of evidence within Pokopia. Let's just get into it. To suggest that Team Rocket is behind a lot of this stuff. So basically what happens in Pokopia, if you haven't played it, spoilers if you are playing it, is that one of the main objectives in the game is that there's this lighthouse, and every time you interact with it, it's continually asking you to complete these missions to provide resources. And what's really nice is that at the very, I won't spoil the details, I guess, but so basically, once you do all that, this automated system goes off, and the lighthouse reveals itself to be a rocket ship. I should have posted some of these images so I had these ready to go. But the rocket ship blasts off. We get to see it turn into this little, and this little space shuttle, and it's making its way through the galaxy, which is honestly pretty insane. Again, we've only seen space travel. I'm becoming obsessed with this, right? We've only seen space travel a couple of times in the Pokemon world. Specifically, I'm thinking about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I guess you could also think about Sun and Moon. Right? I think, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I think, does that count? That's Ultra Space. I guess it's off. It's multi-dimensional. So that might not even count if I'm being completely honest. But in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you do go out in the Delta episode. You're on Rayquaza. You blast off into the sky, which is kind of cool. There's probably a couple other instances. And what's kind of cool is Team Rocket, they're called Rocket, right? Team Rocket. They never do anything they never leave Earth. They never do. They're called Team Rocket, but they never leave Earth. And I'm starting to think that is a little bit of a missed opportunity, but also something that Game Freak could capitalize on and expand on in a future game. If not a Legends game, maybe it's Project Seed. Maybe it's, there's a rumored multi-region MMO game where you are playing and exploring all of the different, Japanese Pokemon regions. Yeah, it would actually make sense for Kanto to exist there, right? That actually would make sense. I'm making that connection right now. It would make sense for Team Rocket to exist there, and maybe we could learn more about that, right? But I'm thinking, my vision right now is a Legends-style game where, Legends Arceus was in the past, and we've got, Legends ZA is modern day, and so this new game could be set in the future, which is kind of fun, right? So it's a little bit of a triplet there. And I think what really shocked me about this is not only that we went into space, but that we also made contact with humans, with a human, right? We did make contact with a human, which is kind of crazy. I do think, let me describe this first. So you make contact with this human, the space shuttle arrives, and we see this new space shuttle, or this I don't really know what it would be. I don't know if it's so it looks like a Pokeball. My theory is that it's a Pokeball. It looks like a Pokeball, very obviously. What's kind of cute is you can see there's a Ditto in the mirror. There's a little plant, and I almost want to say, I actually didn't even make this connection, but now I'm wondering, is this spaceship the home? Is this person that we meet the owner of Ditto? I mean, that would make sense, right? Ditto's not, like, Ditto doesn't meet the owner, like, or Ditto doesn't meet their trainer, because, like, us, the main character, we're not in the spaceship. Presumably, there's nothing in the spaceship except for all the things that we've given them. But what's cool to me is that this spaceship that looks like a Pokeball, it literally is glowing around the rim as it opens up, like right before it opens up. It's activating. To me, I think human beings are basically like in these Pokeball structures living, but I would imagine that these Pokeballs are function the same way that a Pokeball functions for a Pokemon, and that humans can basically go into like a stasis and almost like stay asleep for a longer period of time, right, to stay safe, which is kind of cool. And I think we have like seen versions of this and maybe explored it a little bit in the past. Maybe it deserves a dedicated video, but I think it was kind of cool. I do want to read this though, or actually no, this is related. There is another line of dialogue. Basically, the rocket ship blasts off, and then below it, you discover this little Magnemite, which is super cute. And Magnemite says, "The building was a comfortable space for sleeping. It would have been a good home. This is unfortunate." And I think he is talking about Team Rocket, or I'm sorry, the rocket ship that blasts off. But to me, it can't. I can't help but think about this like actual Pokeball. All right, but we have a line of dialogue here. I think it is a letter or like a note that it was left behind from the rubble of the rocket ship. I'm going to read it here. So it says, "He said that if anything goes seriously wrong, the others might not have enough fuel to get back. Maybe we could share some of our extra fuel with them if that happens. Then maybe people think, oh, Team Rocket or Team R is actually so nice." Like, that's Team Rocket. They play the music, right? It's Team Rocket. Maybe people would think, oh, Team Rocket is actually so nice, and we get more people waiting to join up. Either way, I bet we can make a bunch of money from it all when the time comes. I bet everybody'd be real surprised if they found out Team Rocket built a rocket to evacuate into outer space all by ourselves. I mean, that's the confirmation, right? We even have more than enough fuel to make it back to the planet easily after the environment's calmed down a bit. The boss's plan is absolutely perfect. The boss says that the scale of the plan is to get all humans into outer space at once. It's just too large. And then assuming someone actually does complete my mission for me to be... assuming someone actually does complete my mission for me by getting food and furniture and all that stockpiled up, what should I do? Oh, I read this backwards. What should I do if they actually want to join our organization? I don't know if any super serious do-gooders would want to join Team Rocket, but if they do ask to join, I guess we could let them. Might not be so bad. And yeah, I did read this backwards, so I kind of confused myself right there. But yeah, but they talk about fuel. They talk about rationing resources, right? But they also talk about returning to the planet. And I think that's like kind of the most interesting thing here to me. It's kind of just like a what if. I think it's obviously tied into, like, it is there because it ties into like the larger story of the game. And it's like sad. It kind of gives us like a little bit of hope. Again, which is like, I feel like something that you interact with constantly within Pokopia. It's just about like, it's a big game about Hope Core. Just about like, you know, it's a big game. Everything you do is out of desperation, right? Maybe they'll come back. And I think this is consistent with that, but I can't help but wonder what a game would look like. You know, where it's not Pokopia. I'm imagining, like I said, like a Legends game where you come back to the planet from the perspective of Team Rocket, just like in Legends Arceus. You play as the the Galaxy Expedition squad. What was it called? The squad. Team Galactic is like the good guys. They were originally the good guys. They become bad. I think what we could see is like Team Rocket being the bad guys, but because they survive and they blast off and they survive, they basically become they basically, when they return, they're in a position of power. They're able to build influence and potentially be the good guys, or maybe just from our perspective, the good guys. And I'm imagining we're like the next generation in Team Rocket to return to the planet to try to rescue Pokemon. Right? Just like in Arceus, how we're trying to collect things to learn about them. And it's a really cool blend of like the exploration of Legends Arceus. You have that like wild, unpredictable, those wild, unpredictable environments, but there's still like a sci-fi element to make it feel very unique. That just sounds so much fun to me. I did do a whole nother video on that. If you want to like hear me, like hear kind of like the full initial concept. But I think I might make I really do want to make maybe like a full fleshed out video on my main channel about this concept. I think that'd be like a lot of fun. But something else, I guess, I did want to maybe touch on, and I don't know if we have enough time today, is DLC for Pokopia. Let's do this. Kanto map. So I was talking about this with Hoops. I was talking about this on the podcast recently, and just kind of the idea of like, okay, what could a Pokopia DLC add, right? Pokopia it basically takes place in Kanto. It's like a post-apocalyptic Kanto, and I believe we have basically the mountainous area is like this mountainous area here, where Pewter City is, where like Brock's gym is. That's pretty cool. We also have, where is it? I guess we have Saffron City, and we have Vermilion City, and we have Pallet Town, and we have Fuchsia City, right? Yeah, that's everything. Yeah. So, Pallet Town, Fuchsia, Vermilion, Saffron, and then we have Pewter. And some really cool ideas came up. I mean, there's theoretically, you could throw a dart at anywhere on this map to like just kind of think about where additional DLC for Pokopia could be. And again, I guess I didn't say it, but like, Pokopia is rumored to get DLC. I feel pretty confident we will get additional DLC packs. Again, another video is that like, yeah, something else I was thinking about. I really think this 30th anniversary is going to be extended for a couple of years. A lot of other companies do that. They'll celebrate something like 100 years. They'll celebrate it a year ahead of time, on the year after, maybe even the year after that. I think, anyways, okay, that's a different video. But some really cool locations that we could see. Lavender Town. There's like this ghostly atmosphere. I feel like that would be a really, really cool location for a for a new location, for like a new DLC location in Pokopia. I think there's like a lot of like new items, terrains that they could like introduce, that we could, that's another thing. It's like anywhere that we go, any new location that they're going to unlock, they're going to want to give us access to new resources to like truly expand the game, right? It's not just for the lore, but it's like it has to work with the game as well. So Lavender Town could be really, really cool, I think, just because it has like this different aesthetic. And they could even include within that, they could include the what is it called? The power plant as well, because it's like you got Lavender Town here, there's the rock tunnel, and then there's the power plant, like all the electricity, right? And so you have a couple different locations on that part of the map. I think that totally makes sense. I think, and they could even have some of these bridges, right? I think that could be something as well. Something else that I think would be super fun is a location that is Cinnabar Island, and maybe even the icy cave where you get like Articuno. I think the fire ice duo would be super fun, Especially Cinnabar Island's like especially cool because you have a gym, but you also have the fossil restoration, the lab, right? There's a ton of science there, and that would be like a really cool thing to kind of like they could include a ton of different Easter eggs in there, right? We could also get like a bald cap suit to be Blaine, right? For our Ditto to look like Blaine. That's hilarious. And then you have the Pokemon Mansion as well. And the Pokemon Mansion, again, that is where Mewtwo was created. That is where, potentially Mew was, captured and kept for like a long time. Like there could be like a lot of really cool secrets. The Pokemon Mansion was already so abandoned. And I feel like that is kind of like, again, kind of one of the main themes that like Pokopia is always trying to is always constantly sharing. It's like this. It demonstrates the passage of time and how things can kind of be like abandoned and turned into rubble. We would be seeing a further extension of that with the Pokemon Mansion. I think the Pokemon Mansion would be a really cool location for that. And let's see. Also, actually, what's funny? Actually, I say that for Cinnabar Island, but like we do know that like a volcano goes off 3 years later. So that's actually crazy. All of that could just be underground. That actually would make it feel completely different. That's really, really weird. I don't know what they would do with that. We've got, let's see. I do think Pewter City covers like a lot of stuff near Mount Moon. It is obviously near Viridian Forest, but I think Viridian Forest could be also really, really cool because it is like a forest area. We haven't really seen that. Same thing with Mount Moon. I think Mount Moon would be an awesome location. There could be a summit, the Clefairy, right? Like I feel like they could do some really cool things with like the verticality with the tunnels, and then part of that is also connected to Cerulean Cave. Like that's kind of on the same route. They're both mountainous, and Cerulean Cave is awesome because it has all of those blue crystals. It's obviously linked to really powerful Pokemon, including Mewtwo. I think that would be a really fun location. Actually, to be honest, just Cerulean City, that's probably what they would do. They would do Cerulean City and then include Cerulean Cave. I could see that. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Also, Cerulean City is kind of where you get like the 3 starters. You get Bulbasaur, and then north of that you get Charmander, and then south of that you get Squirtle. And then the last area that would be super cool that I think is probably my number 1 pick for DLC for Pokopia is Victory Road, right? You got Victory Road. You've got the Indigo Plateau where the Elite Four and the Champion reside. Like we could learn so much lore about the different and the history of the of the Kanto League. But here's the thing: the Kanto League is actually split and shared with the Johto League, right? Like there could be a line of dialogue that says like Janine was champion, that Claire was champion, that Faulkner was champion, right? I don't know. Like they could say whatever they want. They could name drop something and break our minds. And also, it's not here on the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee map, but right to the west of this location is Mount Silver in Johto, where you fight Red. And to be honest, in terms of like ultimate DLC, that is like where I would want to see. I would want to tiptoe into Johto. And again, that's even teased in Pokopia. There is a line of text in Pokopia that mentions, I forget who it is, but one of the Pokemon mentions traveling to Johto or like wanting to go to their homeland or whatever. It might have been Smeargle potentially. So there's a lot of really cool locations that we could see in Pokopia. And I meant to say this, but like with Mount Silver, like one of the reasons why I kind of believe that could exist is the fact that we would get a snowy tundra location at the summit of Mount Silver, and we haven't seen that in Pokopia, and that would be something that would be amazing. Like fans of the game, right? Like in terms of like a life sim where you can build anything, that those are resources, those are blocks, those are textures that you would want. They're like new tools to make cool stuff, like a snowy environment. That's like awesome, and would feel so natural. Yeah, let me know. Are you still playing Pokopia? Do you? I don't know. Or I've continued to be shocked by this game, and I'm still discovering things. I'm really obsessed with the idea that like they actually went off planet, and we saw what we saw the galaxy. That's something else. We like there's so many more shots on my phone that I didn't show here, but there's so many shots of like what the Pokemon, what space looks like in the Pokemon world. And I mean honestly, some space people could probably like some smarter people than me could probably figure out like how far away they traveled, you know, to actually reach an action. There's a real human being in Pokopia. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Let me know if you're still playing Pokopia. What kind of DLC do you want to see in this game? I'll talk to you guys soon. Subscribe for more. Bye-bye.